Order. Everybody please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, I'd like to point out that the birthday game to my left, to my right, out the door to the other door, facing the alarm. This time I'd like to introduce the board and the chiefs. I'll start on my right, Commissioner Jerry Kellenberg, Commissioner Richard Bendris, our Secretary Leslie will be right back, our Treasurer Darlene Keeley, myself, I'm Al Terry, I'm the Chairman of the Board, Tom Fry, Commissioner, Co-Chair, Steve O'Sullivan, Commissioner, Chief of the Department, Danny Kaplicki, First Assistant Chief, Don Rabad, and Second Assistant Chief, Rich Pearson. This is a public hearing regarding 2013 proposed budget. In accordance with New York State Town Law, fire districts prior to the adoption of their budget must hold a public hearing in such a manner to maximize participation in the budget process. The purpose of this hearing is to discuss the contents of the budget. The Board of Fire Commissioners, in accordance with legal requirements, has adopted their proposed budget on the 20th day of September, which is 21 days prior to this budget hearing. Since the Goshen Fire District maintains a website, the proposed budget was posted on the website. Lost my place here. 5 days before the date specified for the hearing. Also was posted in the official newspaper of the Fire District. Secretary of Fire District has filed an affidavit stating that this notice of public hearing was published or posted at least 5 days before the date specified for this hearing. The official newspaper of the Fire District, official signboard of the town, where towns of the district is located, on the Fire District's website, and on the website of the town of Goshen will say where the district is located. It's the only town we have. But they were given to the town first, and they were posted, hopefully on their website at the required time. The notice of public hearing specified the time and date, when and the place where the public hearing would be held. Upon its adoption, the Fire District Secretary also made available for inspection and copy of the proposed budget to any interested person during district hours. The purpose of this public hearing is to allow members of the public to make comments in regard to the budget. Any person can be heard for or against the preliminary budget or any item in it. Please note that this is only a proposed budget until the Board of Fire Commissioners adopts the final budget. Prior to the public comment portion of the budget hearing, we'll hear from our Treasurer, who will make a brief presentation about the preliminary budget to the Board of Fire Commissioners and members of the public who are present. The Fire District Treasurer will be asked to submit the proposed budget to the Board of Fire Commissioners and members of the public who are here this evening should be done. The budget must be adopted no later than November 4th and submitted to the town budget officer by November 7th. This time I'll entertain our District Treasurer, Darlene Keeley, and she'll give you the proposed 2015 budget.
Again, I'm Darlene Keeley. I'm the District Treasurer here. I just started in June of this year. I want to talk a little bit about my responsibility as a District Treasurer. As a District Treasurer, I'm accountable for and manage the District's resources with regard to adhering to proper internal controls to safeguard the appropriate use of District funds. I am responsible for the receipt, custody, disbursement, and accounting for the District funds. I am also responsible for preparing monthly and annual financial reports to the Office of State Comptroller. Every year, the District retains an independent auditing firm to perform an annual audit of the District's books. Everybody should have the proposed budget handout. The second page is just a little bit of general information about the Fire District. The next page is the definitions for the account, for the expenses. Then the last page is the budget. The first column shows the account name. The second budget is the 2012 adopted budget, and the 2013 proposed budget. The 2013 proposed budget is, the total number to be raised by taxes is $1,837,908. It's an increase from last year's budget of $36,037. The percentage change is 1.94, which the commissioners kept in line with the Chapter 97 law that was established in 2011, which gave the tax cap 2%, so it's less than 2%. Just a little bit of a note here for the revenue. This year, 2012, we sold a fire truck. We received money for that, $20,000. That fund money is also held in here to be used in 2013. Okay? Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Just to comment a little bit on what Darlene said. This year we did use fund balance of $139,000 to keep the tax rate within the guidelines. Due to the fact we did sell a fire truck for $110,000, a pumper. In this budget also, we have a new ladder truck due come in next year. In this budget is some equipment, expenses for equipment, which upgrade up the equipment budget about $2,500. Increase it, rather, right? And basically, we held the line and everything else. It's kind of tough. The assessed valuation of the town went down over $3 million this year. So we started a hole before we even got started on the budget. But with the cooperation of the chiefs and the rest of the board, and we were able to keep the line at 1.94%, and hopefully it's going to cover. We know it's going to cover. There's firehouse debt in there, which after 8 more years, the firehouse, this one on Green Street, we paid off, and we do have a capital reserve fund in there that we do put together. This ladder truck, just for instance, we got the bids open the other night. We haven't accepted them yet, but the bids come in at $1.1 million, and we have the money in our capital reserve fund to pay that out in cash, so there'll be no increase in anybody's taxes for that. So I think it's a good budget. We held the line. I'd like to thank my board members and chiefs for their help. And one other thing I think is that we should show how it does. But our insurance is another big thing, took a big jump. I think it was 6% on went up, and general liability went up 4%, and workers' comp was 5%. So there's another increase that both of them are supposed to be. Anyway, anybody got any questions? If not,
go ahead to the floor.
If you want to say something to that.
Absolutely. I'm going to give you a hard time, but don't take it personally. I'm on your side. 3 years ago, I came to my first district meeting in my life. And at that time, I talked about the use of the internet. And I urged you to start streaming your meetings. Every board that we record, I've encouraged to live stream their meetings. 3 years later, you're still not making your meetings available. You're not even recording them as we do. We haven't had the opportunity to come out here and routinely record your meetings and put them up on the internet because basically Diane and myself are a two-man public service operation operating on a broken shoestring. There are only so many meetings we can cover. You guys tend to meet on Mondays and Thursdays. Those are the nights for the village and the town as well as the library and the schools. You know, we've got our hands full. But if you were live streaming them and archiving them, they'd be available for the community, for the simple vet, for the elderly, for those who just can't get out because they're commuting 4 hours a day to be able to pay their tax bills. There is a huge advantage in making your meetings available on the internet, live and then archived. At that time, 3 years ago, you were complaining about or taking note of needing to raise the community awareness about what you're doing. You're not going to like what I'm going to say next, but everybody in the community, I think by and large, is behind what you do. There's an enormous amount of community support for what you do. There's an enormous amount of antagonism in the community for how you do it. Enormous. There was a vote on Menacing Firehouse that was a resounding turndown of financing an expansion. You just made note of over a $500,000 capital fund that you've been salting away each year. Whether it's true or not, the feeling is in the community that you're thumbing your nose at what was expressed here and going ahead and doing it anyway. Now, if you were making an effort towards public relations through the web, through press releases, through communicating with papers, basically getting your message out to the community, I think a great deal of that might be debated. Let me be clear. I happen to be a big fan of capital funds. However, you have to weigh that against the economic environment, against the present value of money. We happen to be in a historically unique economic environment. Money is cheap. It does not make sense with people losing their jobs, their homes, losing everything about their lives, to be overtaxing more than $500,000 a year. This is the environment in which you should be borrowing that money. Using the internet, using public relations is a way to engage the community, to engage that discussion. So I come back to where I started 3 years ago. You've got a wonderful website. It's obviously a turnkey package. It's empty. I went there the other day because I was looking for the budget, which, by the way, that's another example. Your budget was publicly available at this house for 3 hours in the month of October. October 6th, between the hours of 12 and 3, I believe it was? 9:30 and 12. 3 hours. That's something that should be available every business day, from the time you're open to the time you're closed. And it should be published on the web. Not buried on your website where you have to dig for it. I found it on the web. I posted a link to some friends, but I had to dig for it. I had to go find it. It's right on the front page of your website. Also available through the town clerk, but the only way I knew about that is because I saw a link to your announcement, the public announcement, on the town's webpage. Right on that front page was a link to the PDF of that announcement, the publicly required announcement. It's the only way I knew about it. And honestly, it's the only reason I'm here tonight, because I missed it in the paper. You've got to do a better job of public relations. There's another item that I'd like to bring up that kind of relates to this.
Relates to the budget?
It kind of relates to the issue of relating to the public and dealing with tax money. You're playing with other people's money. It's our money. All of us. It's not magic money. It's not falling from the sky. It's tax money. It has consequence. And particularly, again, in this day, in this time, it has consequence for people. People are leaving this community. You just mentioned that the assessed base is down. A lot of people who are still here are here simply because they feel trapped and they can't get out. I know of one case, just quite recently.
Mr. Marcus, I understand what you're saying, but if you want to address the budget, address the budget.
I am
addressing
addressing the budget. Because this is money that you should be spending that's not in the budget. I know of a case recently of a guy who raised 2 kids here, he's been here 40 years, can't afford to live here anymore because of his taxes. He's moving out to a southern state, sold his house at a loss, buying a better house for less money there, and he's paying 1/3 of the taxes that he's paying here. So this relates to the budget. you've got to find a way of containing the tax burden. The fire district has a higher tax burden on us than the town. The levy tax is higher than the town's taxes. So I'm urging you to go back and, before you approve this, to see if there's some way you can reduce it. And the last point that I'd like to make that relates to community relations and the budget is, which I brought up, I think last year or the year before, was the money you're spending on grounds for snow plowing and lawn mowing. Chump change. You put them together, it's $31,000. Chump change in a budget of this size. But it's the message that it sends to the community. You recently sold the chief's used vehicle to the village of Goshen for $1. Last year, I believe it was, I suggested that rather than selling that vehicle off and replacing it, that you retain it, put a plow on it, get probies or people from the lower end of the department who are looking to fill the position, and put your own members to work, keeping what is acknowledged to be a very important function, keeping your house clear of snow as soon as it starts to come down. That way you're not relying on the village to do it, you're not relying on the vendor to do it, contractor, and you already have the vehicle. You're not going to be putting a lot of miles on the vehicle you're using to plow. So it doesn't matter if it's a used vehicle. It's the cost of the plow and just keeping it on the road. Low maintenance because you're not using it. Again, it's chump change, but it would be sending a message to the community. We're looking to save where we can. I mean, the town is buying used vehicles instead of replacing with new. They're going out and buying used dump trucks. They're buying used equipment that they're holding on to their police patrol cars until some of them have over 200,000 miles. And they're doing what they can and not borrowing and reducing debt and trying to bevel around and trim every corner. So that's what I have to say with regard to the budget. And again, I hope you would do something about streaming these meetings. 12-year-olds are doing it for their babies. There's no excuse not to.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to say?
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Okay, having no other people wish to comment, I'll prepare this meeting for 2013 budget closed. I need a motion from a member of the board to make a motion. First by Tom, second by Dick. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Approved. Thank you, gentlemen.
What's that? Oh, okay. That's it?